The United Nations representative to Somalia has been ordered to leave the country. A statement by the Somali Foreign Ministry said Nicholas Haysom, a South African national, had deliberately interfered with the country's sovereignty. There's been an increasing tension in the country over the past few months between pro-government forces and Islamist militant group Al-Shabaab. In October 2018, Mukhtar Robo, a former number 2 leader of the terrorist group Al-Shabaab, announced his campaign to become president of Somalia's southwest state. But the government rejected his candidacy because of international sanctions against him. In December 2018, he was arrested, and protests between his supporters and pro-government groups left at least 11 people dead. The UN envoy Nicholas Haysom questioned the basis of Robo's arrest and expressed concern over the deaths of protesters. And today the Somali government asked Nicholas Haysom to leave, accusing him of interfering with the country's sovereignty. The BBC's Somali reporter Khalid Baroud brings us the latest update from the capital, Mogadishu.
The federal Somali government's decision to expel the country's top UN diplomat comes after the UN envoy expressed concerns over last month's violence in Baydhabo, southwest Somalia. Nicholas Haysom also questioned the legal basis for the arrest of former Al-Shabaab deputy leader Mukhtar Robo, who was a front-runner in regional elections held in late December. Protests over his arrest led to the deaths of at least 11 people. And Mr. Haysom questions the way the UN-sponsored police force has dealt with the demonstrations. The UN is yet to react to Somalia's request for the removal of the UN envoy. The country relies on international donors and partners for key sectors like security and governance. The Somali government is currently locked in a battle with the Al-Qaeda-affiliated militant group Al-Shabaab. Al-Shabaab regularly carries out suicide bombings in Mogadishu, which often results in mass civilian casualties.
Well, let's get more on this story now. Somalia's Foreign Minister Ahmed Isse Awood joins us live from Nairobi. Mr. Minister, it looks like this was a very rash decision. Did you dialogue with the UN first?
I differ with you. It's not a rushed decision. We have been actually overly tolerant and patient with Mr. Haytham. In the 4 months that he has been on the job, he was making reckless statements represented by his latest letter to our Minister of Security, demanding him of explanations, interrogating him, basically acting like he is the Governor General of Somalia. That cannot be accepted, tolerated. Somalia may have seen...
Mr. Minister, some will find this decision rather ironic, given just how much the UN does for Somalia. I mean, they prop up your security agencies in the country, and some would even argue the government.
Well, yes, the UN has been helpful, as well as the members of the international community to Somalia. We value that contribution. We appreciate, we are very grateful to it. I hope you are not equating the individual, one staff member of the UN, with the UN. The UN institutions are there to function in Somalia. They are valued. They are welcome. We are part of the UN. We are the UN. This individual has acted beyond his or outside the bounds of his
when you say, Mr. Minister, when you say that Mr. Haysom has acted outside his remit, I mean, don't you think that that's pushing it a bit, given the fact that he is the mouthpiece of the UN in Somalia? Are you worried that this could cause a breach in the relationship between your country and the UN?
Well, first of all, if being a mouthpiece of the UN doesn't give him a license to abuse his authority and disrespect the Somali people and the sovereignty of the Somali nation and endanger the security. That's how we saw it, the security and the unity of the Somali people.
Okay, just very briefly.
Now you asked another question. You said, what do we expect? We expect the United Nations to continue functioning in Somalia. We welcome, we cooperate, we respect, and we are grateful to the contribution that the UN is making to.
So you are grateful to,
Somalia.
and you do recognize how much the UN does in Somalia. I
We
mean,
do.
is there any room for negotiations, or is this a done deal?
You mean negotiation in the case of
Him coming back, Mr. Haitham coming back to Somalia?
No. Haitham's decision is final. We have tolerated enough, and Haitham is gone. But the UN is there to stay.
Okay, that's the Somali Foreign Minister Ahmed Issa Awood speaking to us from Nairobi. Thank you very much.